Well, hello there, Karen here. Welcome to this week's energy reading. It's for the 12th of December 2022. I've called it Are You Ready for Change? Because I think we all are, aren't we? We're all ready for change. We've all had enough of the way things are in this controlled matrix, and I'm sure we are over ready for this long awaited shift into 5D and beyond. I think it's been something like 2,500 years that we've been moving towards the shift of ages. Anyway, things are getting closer. Um, this wait is getting more and more intense. And in that intensity, I see a few potential problems. It's kind of like a pothole in the road. In actual fact, it's probably more like a well, a big, deep, dark well that can take us from light into darkness. Um, I smiled to myself as I wrote that in my notes because some years ago I went on a spiritual tour, and this spiritual teacher invited us to go down a well. And all of my guidance told me very emphatically, don't go down the well, because if you go down there, you are actually going from the light down into the darkness. Now, it seemed that the spiritual teacher and everybody else didn't actually like my decision with that. There were a few of us that chose not to go down, but it wasn't well received. It kind of unlocked a whole process of certain situations where we clearly had to witness some darkness coming up to be released, because that's actually what all of this is. When we witness something, we are witnessing the darkness that exists there, and hopefully with the with our consciousness witnessing that, we're always hopeful that whatever is in the darkness can be healed and cleared and released up into the light. But we know that that doesn't always occur because everything has free will and choice. So even if you observe somebody acting in very dark ways, nefarious ways, they still have the choice whether they kind of come to the light, as it were, or whether they choose to continue on the path that they're already on. So, where am I? It was tempting to go down the well for about 0.0001 of a second. I'm being a little bit flippant there, because to me, it was very, very clear that that is a path that I shouldn't tread, to go that way. But the problem is, as humans, we tend to get swept along with what everybody else is doing. We want to be our own person, we want to think for ourselves, but very often we get swept away. So, what worries me right now at this point, at this time in our Earth history, is that because we are really over ready for change at this point, and for the big reveal that has been coming. I mean, it certainly is revealing. More and more is revealing day by day. It's been hidden for so long. And we're kind of desperate to really know what's actually going on here. So the temptation then is that we spend more and more and more and more time researching all of this stuff that is being uncovered now. Of course, it's never going to be on, the BBC News or Channel 9 News or whatever it is. Yet, anyway, there will come a time where they have to report some of this. But at this point, it's there. We can look at places, alternative places like Rumble and BitChute, and there's Telegram, and all of these other places where you can find this information. But the problem is, and we are desperate to know it, but we get then, on that bandwagon really of researching more and more and more and more and more of this stuff. We know that the more time we spend on our devices, it's not really going to be good for us. There is an addiction to that. We know that. That's been revealed even in some of those documentaries on Netflix, how they use psychology to draw you in. So we know all of that is happening. But the thing is, when we start researching this other stuff that we won't see on the BBC, we're searching into the darkness, the dark agenda. We're looking at what they actually do to children that is sick and disgusting. We're looking at the families that live in white houses that are involved. The music industry, the big name actors, the fashion designers, and the people who are not scientists but who claim to know how to save you from a bug that doesn't even exist, etc., etc. Because there's a whole load of this stuff going on, as you know. And all of these things I've alluded to cryptically. I know that you'll understand what I mean. But such is the degree of protection that they have around their nefarious dealings, is that anyone saying the right or the wrong word, you're going to be shut down for speaking those words. So I got to say that, this dark stuff that's revealing, it's fascinating. It is fascinating. Of course we want to know. But there is an element or potential for addiction there. It's a little bit like when somebody dabbles into porn, there's a kind of addiction there. When you go on social media, Instagram and all of that, there's a kind of addiction there. We all know that these things exist, and researching this dark stuff is no different. The more that's revealed, the more we want to know, because we know there's a whole load of stuff going on. My goodness, let's even go back to something like, the two towers that were blown up. Even all of the background behind that is available for everyone. Not everyone knows this, so people are digging in, and it becomes really quite addictive. We want everything to be revealed now. That's what I would like, everything to be revealed now. But there would be some dangers within that for some people, because it's a dark place. And if you're spending a lot of time researching and reading everything about all of this dark stuff that you come across, it's affecting you. So when we as light workers, actually anyone, even if you don't consider yourself a light worker, just an interested person, shall we say, whenever you go into those places to see what's going on, a part of your consciousness is going in there. It's going to be affected. We are simply not just reading something and moving on. We are reading it. We are watching it on videos now. We are hearing it. It's really all around us. And everything that we experience in life, even before we're born, even in the womb, everything that's happening around us is being stored in our subconscious mind. So it's all there. Everything that you've ever experienced, even in your other lifetimes as well, of course. Now, some years ago, I did some remote viewing with a spiritual group that I was a part of, whose intention was to bring light into some of these really dark, controlled places. The intention sounded great, but it didn't go down well. There is always an energetic payback for meddling in things that don't belong to you. So some of the grid working and the projects that we see going on, with groups of people and light workers and things, some of them, probably all of them, they're set up with the right intention. But what people don't understand about some of this stuff is that when you go poking your nose in places, you're going to get bitch slapped, because you will be seen in there, and there will be some energetic payback. What I saw on those missions, for want of a better word, that I was involved in, was absolutely energetically shocking to me, to my soul. And actually, I suffered PTSD from that. Many of us did, actually, not just me. So this is what we are seeing being released now. It's on video. It's on first-hand reports, for example, of people going in to rescue the children and the adults that have been trafficked. All of these types of things were things that I saw remotely some years ago when I was looking at stuff. And as I say, there was an energetic payback for that, because our presence, us trying to bring light into those situations, was not welcome. So just as it wasn't welcome when we were doing it, at a remote viewing level or on an energetic psychic level, it's not welcomed now that it's all being revealed on the physical. And this is why we're seeing, homeopathic doctors, pass away in unexpected situations. You know what I'm being a little bit coy here when I say that. But I'm sure you understand what's happening to some people that are known as whistleblowers or trying to share the truth. So this is what we are seeing being released now. It's very shocking, but of course it's very fascinating too. And humans actually like to look at gory stuff. You see it all over social media. Poor, innocent humans falling onto train tracks and being run over, and look at the number of views they have. People want to see that gory, most disturbing stuff. It really is like a sick addiction. And this is, of course, exactly why when there's a crash on the highway, everybody slows down to have a look, to see if they can see something that would, be shocking or different, or something out of the ordinary, something bad. And it's a weird, sick part of our mentality that wants to look at that stuff. It's like a morbid fascination, actually. But this is the addiction that people are being invited to partake in now as they go down the rabbit hole, so to speak. And it's deep and it's shocking, and people are suffering actually from what they see there. It is an absolute overload of the energetic repercussions of accessing some of that information. So from the sleepers, of course, they don't know on a conscious level all of this stuff that is now being brought up into the light. So they're feeling very stressed. They're feeling very stressed. They're feeling very pressured. And it's like a collective stress, if you like. Now, I know that people get busy at this time of the year. We've got a lot to do, and that we've had these silly lockdowns, and it's busy year with kids and school and managing all of that, and I understand that, and people always feel tired at this time of the year as we lead into Christmas. But this is bigger than this. What these people that are asleep don't know is that their reality, their matrix, is beginning to fall apart as we see the pieces of this unfolding. So the construct upon which they've built their whole reality is crumbling, actually, and they're losing their footing. And this, I feel, is why so many people are kind of losing their mind, in a sense. So just my opinion, of course, my experience of how I'm observing it. The awake people, though, we know what's happening, but honestly, we really can't see for sure what is actually going to happen. We can't see the extent of what is yet to come. There's going to be revealed that shocks even the most well-seasoned ones of us that thought that we were awake and aware. So we're feeling the stress and the pressure of resisting the mind control, psychological operation over the last few years, through many years. Some of us have been trying to resist that our whole life since school, and they continue to try and put you back into the program, and we've tried to pull ourselves out to retain our conscious mind, our rational, logical thinking, as well as our connection with heart and with spirit, of course. As well, we're feeling the pressure of having to bear the burden, actually, of all that we've known all of these years, when we've been called, labelled and ridiculed, and called tinfoil hat wearers and Fruit Loops, and people saying that we're bonkers, because of what we know. And we know all of this, and we're actually holding the awareness of that in our subconscious mind, but it's also in our conscious reality, because this is embodied within many of us now, because we've been doing this for so long. So all of it is irrelevant, really, what we've been called and what's gone before, because when you know, right? So regardless of all of that, now we are more than ready for change. But we have to guard, and this is collectively, not just the awakened ones, it will be the ones awakened for a long time and the newly awakening. We have to guard against getting stuck down the rabbit hole, so to speak, and getting fragmented with what we find there, because it is shocking. You need a strong spiritual backbone. I've been saying this for years. You need to hold yourself together with some of the information that it's going to reveal to you. So I remember some of my meditation classes that I was teaching in 2006, around that year and onwards, and sharing some of this information and saying to my people, you have to be strong, you have to develop a strong spiritual backbone. And many of them were very, very awake. And over the course of the years and this waiting period and the heaviness of everything we've been experiencing, it's sad that many of them chose to go back to sleep. So maybe they will wake up now, but still, the message is still the same. You need a strong spiritual backbone to be able to cope and handle what is going to be coming in the time ahead. So you need to develop, if you haven't already, I hope that you have, but you need to develop a strong personal practice so that you know yourself, what you feel like, so that you can identify when anxiety and overload start to come, upon your body. You need to know what that feels like. You need to know what trauma activating in your body feels like, so that when you feel that, you can actually take some steps back and recover. You can become traumatized by coming across some of this information. The latest Balenciaga, I said the word, the latest fashion designer, and all of these awful ad campaign that they've had, that is a tip of the iceberg of all of that stuff. And if you've been shocked and sickened by that, that will give you an indication of what is coming. So as I say, you can become traumatized by this kind of thing, but you can also recover from it. You can learn how to take this step by step, because I know that you want to know, and the knowing is important. You really can't be sticking your head in the sand anymore at this point, because how will we ever affect a change if we're not willing to look at what has got us to this point? It's always important to look back and see what got you to this point, so that you can change it for when you move forward again. And we're at that cusp point now. So many of us were traumatized, many of us have recovered. So I want you to know that if you're shocked by this stuff, if you're feeling overwhelmed by what you've been through, there is a way out of this, but it requires you to be gentle with yourself, to acknowledge what's going on. And so the purpose of what I'm talking about today is to let you know that, yes, this stuff is shocking and traumatic, and you may be suffering from some of that. That doesn't mean to say you have to shut it down and never look and pretend it doesn't exist. It means that you need to care for yourself. So if you were in fear and trauma over the last few years, I hope that you've found some balance and stability through that now, because there will be more to come that will shock and surprise you. So what's next then? Well, I would always recommend that you work on yourself. You probably know that I always am an advocate of meditation. Quiet time, grounding yourself in nature, spending time with loved ones, conscious people, not negative, heavy people. Have fun, laugh, be in good company, do all the things that lighten your spirit and make you feel lighter again, because there's so much healing in all of that. Isolation is what they do to prisoners, and we've all been subjected to some of that over the last few years, and it is one of the hardest things for humans to cope with, psychologically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. So that's what we've been through, and we can acknowledge that that's what's happened. Now you can learn how to delve into the information safely, but you need to really know your own body so that you can say, wow, oh, enough, I need to get off of this, I can't. And then you go to nature, and then you sit in your meditation, and maybe, you come and have a healing session to clear your energy field. You're probably a helping kind of person. In some capacity, you're probably here in service and you're here to help others, but you can't help anyone if you're in trauma yourself. So some of us have been doing this work for years already, looking at this stuff. We've embodied this work, this understanding of knowing how to support people. We're grounded, we're stable in our understanding of energy and timelines and the distortions and all of this stuff. So reach out if you need support, if you need healing or understanding. We are going through a huge change, and we are so ready, over ready, but at the same time, it's a little bit unclear exactly what it is that we're stepping into, let's be honest. There may be some people that can tell you exactly what's going to happen, but I haven't actually met any of those who I really feel know exactly what this is going to look like. But there are people that say they know, so maybe they do. I don't know. I want to let you know that there are traps along the way as we move into this new age. There will be invitations to go, using my analogy, to go from the light down into the darkness, into the well. And some of these invitations can look very inviting because it's not comfortable being the odd one out, is it? One of the things that humans crave is to belong, to feel like they belong in a tribe. And so when we're the ones standing out and going, yeah, I'm not going to go down that well, and then when everyone's looking at you, just wondering what the heck you're doing, why you're so weird, why you're so strange, why you can't just go along with everything, just be one of them, It's a lonely place to be. But it's at that point that you really should be absolutely listening to your intuition, to your own inner guidance that will always keep you safe. Don't override it at this point, because you are right to hesitate. You are right to hold back until you get clear guidance on what is the right step for you. Because never before has it been so important to find yourself making choices that will land you on the right side of history and the evolution of humanity. And yet here we are at that very point where the choices we make now are so important, not just for us, but for everybody, because this is a collective awakening. This is a collective move into higher dimension, higher frequency, new timelines. And as I've mentioned, not everybody is going to make that shift with us, and we have to find a way to be okay and accept their decision. At this point, honestly, I think it's too late to try and wake people up. They've had enough time. If they wanted this awakening, they would already be taking steps towards it, and we would know that. We know who is open and receptive to this, and we know those that are very blinkered and are choosing to put their head maybe even deeper into the sand. That is free will and choice, and part of developing a strong spiritual backbone and evolving in our consciousness is to accept that everybody is free to make their own choices. We might not agree with them. I don't agree with everything I see my loved ones or people that I know and care for, or my clients or my students. I don't agree with every decision that they make, but I'm very tolerant, and I hold the space for them to choose, because that is part of our growth, our soul's evolution. It's why we're here at this time. Probably one of the most challenging times, where we get to, the outcome of our choices are monumental for ourselves and for everyone. So anyway, that's kind of me talking through that at the moment, what I see happening and going on. A lot of pressure, a lot of stress. Could have called this collective stress, because we're all feeling it. We're all hanging out for our Christmas holidays, even those of us that realise that Christmas is a satanic festival and they used to sacrifice people. Oh my goodness, is there any end to all of this? When you know, you know. But I hope that you can find some peace and balance through all of this big reveal. And as I say, always reach out. If anything I've said in this has triggered you, if it's interested you and you just want to know more about it, let's have a conversation. Just reach out to me. You can DM me. If you are already traumatized from your own journey down the rabbit hole, and if you need some support, reach out. So I really don't want anybody to feel alone. I don't want anyone to be traumatized. I've been there. It's not a good place to be. It feels like crap, but I also know that we can get out of that. We can come to a place where we are conscious of what's happening, and yet we hold that faith that everything will turn out right, because we have our connection to source, to the universe, to spirit, to God, whatever word you choose for that. But really that is what sustains us, because that is the light. And without doubt, probably if you're listening to this, you're also choosing the light. So let's embody the light together and step forward with kindness and love in our heart and peace. Well, I think that's more than enough, don't you? I'll see you soon. Bye-bye for now.